The Eagle Mountain Saginaw Independent School District order. Let the record show a quorum of board members are present and that this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. So welcome everyone. Happy Monday. It is 5 p.m. So we're right on time. So I'm glad that you're all here. We're gonna, we don't have any public speakers, so we will go right into our superintendent reports, and our first one will be Chief Ramirez. Our district intruder detection audit report findings, please.
All right, Madam President, Dr. Hollingsworth, members of the board, I'm here to give a report for the district-wide intruder detection audit. As you know, the Texas Education TEA is charged with conducting random intruder detection audits in every school district in the state. This process requires an independent auditor to make visits to schools within the district to identify doors that are not in compliance with state requirements. Within the last 45 days, an audit was conducted at one or more campuses in the district, and one or more findings were identified. As a result, the affected schools are required to create a corrective action as well as provide training for each staff member. A public report must be made to the school board of the findings that occurred, but cannot include public communication of specific schools or findings. In addition, a report of the finding must be made to the Safety and Security Committee at the next scheduled meeting. This information is protected information and will be used by EMS, police department, campus administrators, and district leaders to address each concern and take immediate action to be in compliance with state requirements and the district's policies and procedures. The board will be presented with specific details in closed session as allowed by state law.
Yeah, a couple of comments. First, thank you, Chief, for your team and working hand in hand with our maintenance team to hop on any concerns that were identified. We met with the gentleman from TE.
So I think the next report is going to be the vulnerability.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm on the wrong one.
So this
Go ahead.
is the monthly
Yes,
audit
sir.
for doors.
Yes, sir.
So, okay.
I jumped ahead.
Okay, you did.
To the
I'm
next
right.
item, but go ahead.
Okay, so are there any questions or comments about that particular?
It's our standard one.
Standard
Yes,
one,
ma'am.
yeah. Okay, so the next one is the district vulnerability report.
That's correct. And this district vulnerability assessment, the Office of School Safety Security, OSSS, is a division of the Texas Education Agency, and it's tasked with providing technical assistance to school districts across the state. As part of its mandate, the OSSS conducts comprehensive vulnerability assessments to school districts on a random basis every 4 years. These assessments encompass critical areas such as facility access controls, measures, emergency operation protocols, and adherence to established school safety standards. Upon completion of the assessment, the TEA is required to furnish a confidential report to the district superintendent and the district school safety security committee. This report outlines the findings, provides recommendation, and identifies any corrective action that must be undertaken to ensure compliance and enhance safety measures. On September 10 through 12, 2005, OSSS conducted district vulnerability assessment across 24 campuses, and the OSSS identified one or more findings. On October 16th, the auditor did meet with the superintendent and myself and Jackie Scott, and he went over some of those findings. I can say he was really just encouraged for what he saw in a district our size. Yeah. He commended us for not only being squared away, but matter of fact, if he said he would give us a grade, it would be an A for that grade. And that's because working with maintenance, making sure back in May, when we found out the possibility, we started working towards that audit. And so they selected us. And so we were prepared for the audit, and there were some findings. But again, consequently, with the districts must develop and implement corrective actions and report back to the TEA once those issues have been resolved. A public report must be presented to the school board indicating findings occurred at one or more campuses. However, specific details recording the school's findings cannot be publicly disclosed. Additionally, a report summarizing the finding was actually presented to the Safety and Security meeting during its October 15th meeting. This information is considered protected and will be used by EMS ISD Police Department, campus administrators, and district leadership to address concerns and take immediate steps to ensure compliance with state regulations and district policies. Detailed findings will be shared with the board in closed session as permitted by law.
This is one where I wanted to add, yeah, that we did very well. The auditor who did our vulnerability assessment was a retired Texas Ranger, really sharp guy, and he talked about how usually in smaller districts he sees more of what he saw in ours, but the larger the district gets, he said they usually find a lot more that needs to be taken care of. So real testament to our safety and security team, but also to our maintenance crew as well. So anyway.
Yeah, I think everybody from administrators on campus to safety, security folks,
yeah.
and just the staff all contribute to this really amazing assessment in our opinion.
That's
and
great.
so, again, kudos to Jackie Scott, because in this audit, there was over 80 submissions that she had to submit, different policies, different things that the district does, in addition to requiring them to go through 24 schools and looking at everything in those schools. So again, we did really well, and I'm proud of the district, and I'm proud of the folks that made it happen.
Please pass along our
We will.
appreciation
Yes.
to Jackie.
Thank you, sir.
It's a
Please
lot of
do,
work.
yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
To maintenance, to the police department, and all the campuses, and Jackie. Anybody else have any other comments or questions? Good job, thank
Thank
you. Thank you. All right, we'll go right next into our operations report, and our first one is our quarterly demographics, and we have Mr. Stuart Kehoe, who will be here taking Bob's place today. He said Bob Templeton 2.0, right? So
Trying to
he's
be.
here to give us the latest quarterly demographic and housing information.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. And yes, I'm not Bob. He sends his regards, wishes he could be here tonight, but I'm going to try to do just as great a job as he does. My name is Stuart Kehoe. So good evening, Dr. Hollingsworth, Board President Tolbert, Board of Trustees. My name is Stuart Kehoe from Zonda Demographics. Today, I'd like to share the third quarter 2025 demographic update for the Eagle Mountain Saginaw Independent School District. This report provides an overview of current economic and housing conditions, both nationally and locally, as well as a look at new development, multifamily trends, and enrollment projections through the 2035-36 school year. So as we look at our economic conditions, the regional economy continues to show overall stability with modest growth. Unemployment in the area has increased slightly by approximately 0.1 to 0.3 percentage points compared to this time last year. As an aside, most economists would say that anything under 5% unemployment is considered full employment, so that's a good sign for us. Even with that minor uptick, the region has added nearly 33,900 new jobs over the past 12 months. Our largest employer sectors remain trade, transportation, and utilities, along with professional and business services. However, the education and health service sector posted the strongest job gains this year, while professional and business services saw the greatest decline. Overall, the economic base remains diverse and resilient, a positive sign for continued residential development within the district boundaries. So as we look at our national housing market conditions, the market continues to show signs of moderation. In August, there were 703,000 new homes sold on a seasonal adjusted and annualized basis, an increase of 2.1% from July, but a 1.2% decline from a year ago. Among Zonda's top 50 major housing markets, about 1/3 were overperforming, 42% were average, and roughly 1/4 were underperforming. Across all price points, entry-level homes continue to outperform upper-tier homes, reflecting consumer sensitivity to affordability and interest rates. Potential shifts in monetary policy, fiscal policy, international relations, investor sentiment, and consumer behavior are all being evaluated as to what impacts we may see in the coming months. Regionally, the Dallas-Fort Worth area is maintaining an average sales rate of 2.0 net sales per community per month. Among Texas's 4 major markets, San Antonio is currently overperforming. Dallas and Houston are average, and Austin remains underperforming in terms of new home sales adjusted for supply and seasonality. Within the Dallas-Fort Worth, Arlington metro statistical area, there were 39,716 new home closings over the past year, a 12.6% decrease from the previous 12 months. Builder feedback suggests that affordability concerns and broader economic uncertainty are slowing new home activity, particularly among first-time home buyers. When we look at interest rates, the Federal Reserve's September rate cut of 25 basis points lowered the average 30-year mortgage to 6.26%, but rates remain high compared to the pre-2022 levels. there's been about a 1.6% interest rate drop from the high in 2023. Interestingly, we are also closing in on the number of mortgages, existing mortgages above 6%, and the number of mortgages below 3%, which could influence consumer activity. Some folks were staying in those homes with those lower interest rates, and now they're starting to creep up on those higher interest rates. So let's talk about Eagle Mountain Saginaw ISD's new home activity. Currently, it's led by the Hatley Elementary Zone, followed by the Eagle Mountain Elementary Zone and the Bryson Elementary Zone. The Hatley Elementary Zone was the highest in almost every category measure for new home activity. Importantly, there were 667 starts in the Hatley Elementary Zone. Eagle Mountain and Bryson each had 171 and 107 starts respectively this year, with Eagle Mountain having 231 closings and Bryson having 217 closings. Eagle Mountain Elementary has a large amount, almost 8,000. I'm sorry, guys. I skipped ahead on one. I'm on this one, sorry. 8,000 future lots, which is important to keep an eye on as a space for future facilities. Lake County Elementary Zone also has 500 future lots. Sorry, I forgot to skip forward one. So again, Hatley is our leading the charge in all the categories, with Eagle Mountain having a lot of those future lots. Just for reference, that VDL means vacant developed lots. Those are lots that are ready to be built on today. They're cleared, got everything ready to go. So as we look at Eagle Mountain and Hatley in particular, there's lots of space for those houses to pop up pretty quick if the conditions are right for them and those buyers are there. All right, so the district has 25 active subdivisions with around 260 homes under construction and nearly 1,400 lots ready to build on. In addition, there are 8 potential future subdivisions totaling approximately 9,300 single-family lots, with groundwork already way on nearly 1,900 of those. So some of the notable developments is the Belt Mill development with 993 total lots. We have Chapel Hill is one of the largest with just over 3,600 lots, 3,652 in particular. And we've got North Point with 2,469 lots as well. So looking at our yield analysis for our multifamily does continue to play a meaningful role in district enrollment patterns. Currently, there are 1,401 students residing in 6,820 non-age restricted multifamily units, giving the multifamily housing a student yield of 0.205, which means for every 100 units, we would expect to see 20 students enrolled in the district. Some of the other districts that we work with, that yield is not as high. It's closer to about 0.1 or 0.12. So that is one of the higher ones that I've seen with the districts that I work with. So when we look at our mobility analysis, which is looking at the number of newcomers and leavers, so how many students are new to the district and how many leave. Newcomers are, a majority of those makeup is going to be our kindergarten and first graders, and a lot of the leavers are going to be our students that are graduating out. So we continue to see more newcomers than leavers since the 2022-23 school year. On average, Eagle Mountain Saginaw has had an average net gain of 334 in the newcomer-leaver ratio. This year, we've seen 239 more newcomers than leavers.
And that includes those that are leaving between K-12?
Yes, sir. Yeah, coming in, so kids that are buying a house mid-year or kids that transfer in or move in, as well as students that move out. Yes, sir. All right, so birth rates, really important for when we look at our analysis and our forecasting. So birth rates across the region have increased slightly over the past 5 years. Over that time, the area has had on average 1,829 births a year with an average kindergarten enrollment rate of 0.933. So this means that since 2013, the district has enrolled on average 93% of the number of children born in the district boundary into kindergarten. Obviously, some of those kids that are born here move on and go to different schools, but of that number of kids that are born here, we would expect 93% of them to start kindergarten within the district.
How does that, you talk about some surrounding districts you work with, how does that compare? You compared the multifamily, how does that compare to district around you?
It's a bit higher. Most of them on average we're seeing between that 0.88 and 0.93 number is a pretty good sweet spot. I believe I was just working with Denton, for instance. I think they're closer to about 0.88, 0.89. So y'all are a little bit higher than that as far as, we call it our capture, our kindergarten capture. So how many kids are in the district are we able to keep? A lot of times that's a predictor. If we can get them here for kindergarten and get them in the district, they're going to stay. So that's an important number to keep in mind and something that we lean on with our projections as far as looking at those kindergarten classes. This year we did see a slight dip. So we went from 0.95 to 0.88 with a kindergarten enrollment of 1,525, which is still the second largest, I believe, kindergarten enrollment that we've seen in quite some time. All right, so across grade levels, we've seen a slowdown in growth. At the highest, we were at 5.36% in the 2021-22 school year, and we're at 1.16 so far this year. 9th and 10th grade continue to be the biggest cohorts of students. Our 9th graders, we have some that enjoy it and stay a little bit longer in 9th grade, so that makes those numbers look a little bit larger with credits and things of that nature. One of the things I noticed when I was looking at these numbers is there was some pretty noticeable growth between the 5th and 6th grade cohorts this year. So last year's 4th grade cohort grew from 1,740 to 1,823, and last year's 5th grade cohort grew from 1,174, and this year in 6th grade they have 1,842. So between those two grade levels, the district added 161 students. All right, across all grade levels, sorry. This is one of mine. Here we go, I think I want this one, yes. With continued housing development, particularly in the new master plan communities, total enrollment could approach 26,860 students by the 2035-36 school year. I'm going to go to, sorry, y'all. All right. In 5 years, the kindergarten cohort is projected to be about 260 students larger than this year. Something to be aware of is the secondary cohorts of students, particularly the large size of the secondary cohorts of students. Your secondary cohort, so basically 6th grade through 12th grade, they are larger than your incoming cohort, so kindergarten, 1st, 2nd, 3rd. So if we look at, for instance, this year, there's 1,790 12th graders, and we enrolled 1,525 kindergartners. So the weird dynamic that we're seeing, or interesting dynamic rather, is that some of the new builds, the new students that are coming in with all the housing developments are offset a little bit by those 200 or so students that are leaving by the incoming cohort and the outgoing cohort. So our outgoing cohort is bigger, and it's going to be that way probably until roughly the 2032 number, 2032 school year, and that's when we'll start to see some equalization of our senior kids and our kindergarten kids coming in. So we'll see potentially more growth at that point.
How are y'all able to ascertain that? I mean, just what when you look ahead, I mean, what are you looking at that allows you to know that?
For like how projected into 21.
Kindergarten's going to bump up.
So some of that has to do with birth rates. Some of that has to do with our housing and what we can expect yield. So when we look at a neighborhood and say, this neighborhood's coming up and so far we've built 500 homes and we're seeing, 0.4 kids come from these homes, and we've got another 1,000 homes coming in, we can start to kind of project and look at, on average where those kids would fall. So gotcha. It's not a perfect science, but when we look at those yields, we can look at the cohorts, we can look at the average cohorts, we can say on average, how many kindergartners are we getting each year with the new housing growth and everything like that. We add it up. So
thank you. No,
yes.
I appreciate that.
Yes, absolutely. No one's ever asked me that question before, so I appreciate that. I think that's what I wanted to talk about there. So again, it is an interesting dynamic where some of those larger classes are being replaced by some smaller kindergarten and 1st grade classes, but that is going to equal out here in the next 5 years or so. We fully expect it to. All right. At the elementary level, Eagle Mountain Elementary School, Elkins, Hatley, and Dozier are the ones to keep an eye on as they do near capacity. Hatley and Eagle Mountain Elementary could be over capacity as soon as the 28-29 school year. I know that there's some future buildings coming up. We are going to start seeing, and we're seeing this in other districts as well, some leveling off and some balancing of enrollment. Zones such as Remington and Saginaw, you're not seeing a lot of growth in enrollment, and those ones are balancing off and stabilizing, and we're seeing that in other areas that are other school districts with high growth as well. If the housing growth continues as expected, we could see an additional 2,098 elementary school students in 10 years. At the secondary campus level, Creekview is closing in on capacity with Prairie Vista and Wayside slightly over capacity this year. Boswell continues to be the largest high school and should be closing in on capacity around the 28-29 school year. In 10 years, we could see an additional 600 middle school students. All right, so this year we have 3 projection ranges, and they've been developed with the dynamic educational landscape we're facing in mind. So things of vouchers, the homeschooling trend is certainly increasing. I think we're looking at probably 600,000 homeschooled students in Texas this year, which is quite a few. Of course, that's not an exact number because they don't have to register or anything like that, but that's the current estimate. So our low-range scenario assumes a slowdown in housing, starts and closing, increased homeschooling or private school enrollment, and slightly lower kindergarten and early elementary yields. Our mid-range scenario, which we currently consider most likely, reflects a stable economic conditions, steady housing growth, and minimal impacts from alternative school trends. The high-range scenario assumes future interest rate cuts, strong builder activity, and increased transfers driven by marketing and choice initiative. All right, so here are our key takeaways. The housing market has cooled from its 2021-2023 peaks. Underlying demand remains strong, and Eagle Mountain Saginaw ISD continues to see steady development interest with 25 active subdivisions and more than 9,000 future lots planned. 2025 new home starts and closings in Eagle Mountain Saginaw are currently trending below the 2024 totals and are anticipated to finish below the 2024 totals. Spring 2026 start rates will be critical for the fall 2026 enrollment patterns. The district currently has approximately 515 homes in active inventory, roughly 1,400 lots available to build on, and roughly 9,300 planned in the future. And Eagle Mountain Saginaw ISD fall 2026 enrollment is forecasted to fall between 24,132 to 24,432. The 5-year forecast has an enrollment between 24,621 and 25,414. I would be happy to take any questions that y'all have for me.
I have a question on the page that gave the Eagle Mountain Saginaw ISD new home activity.
This one. One more. Okay.
Okay, so we had 147 starts.
Yes, sir.
And it looks like we're going to, and you mentioned in your summary that we're going to be below, obviously below 2024. It looks like we're going to be below 1,000. I don't remember the last time we were below 1,000 starts. Do you?
I don't know off the top of my head how long it's been. I did kind of average and predict out. I think we would see about, if we just averaged and predicted out, we'd have about 992 starts by the end of the year and 10,080 closings. So we are seeing that across other areas as well. I think interest rates and there's still plenty of supply the builders have that they're trying to unload before they start building new ones. So we are seeing that as well.
But even the closings, that's the lowest number that's been in a quarter for, at least on that chart.
Yes.
Does used home, this just talks about new home. What about used home? Does it pick up any of the activity?
Not on this, not on the new homes. This annual closing comes from our developers.
But I mean, does used home, is there any analysis of that?
That is, goodness, I'm trying to remember what the recent, there has been, I know that used home prices has dropped. There's just a report out today, I think it was WFAA, that new home prices have dropped for the first time in quite some time. So I'm interested to see right now, the new homes have been a little bit more competitive than the used homes because folks are sitting there wanting that high price on it. The builders are able to offer different kinds of incentives and buy down interest rates and things like that. I think with the latest information on housing prices, realtors are probably going to start pricing some of the used homes a little bit more competitively with the newer builds. So I am interested to see what that dynamic looks like in Q1 next year, and especially Q2 and 3 when the market heats up quite a bit.
Because we need those parents whose kids have graduated to
Yes, sir.
sell their home so that new people.
I'll tell you what, my dad and I had this conversation this year because in their neighborhood, they had 2 homes for sale last year. They live in the Bedford area. And it's something we're seeing all across. Even, I'm in the Northwest area, the older homes in Roanoke, they're not, we call it churn. They're not churning because folks, number one, they love the communities they live in. So, that's hats off to the communities. They don't want to leave. And again, with 6 and 7% interest rates, it's if people are close to paying off their houses, or they have a low mortgage, or if they're folks that have some tax rates grandfathered in and things like that, they either can't afford to, or they don't want to, or wouldn't make financial sense for them to leave those homes. But we are seeing that lack of churn across many other places, many other districts, where the folks with younger kids and families, it is affordable to live on the outskirts of those districts and come in and buy a new home versus buying something that's maybe central. Yes.
On that next page, you've got several of the districts with 0 starts. I mean, like, there's no activity at all. So how's that? You're still projecting, though, people moving in, and the numbers for those elementary schools are still growing. How is that?
Yeah, so we look at the yield of those houses. We look at the kindergarten cohorts coming in. We look at the birth rates and things like that. So all those factors combine. So to look at, to look at those projections. So a lot of it has to do with this increased birth rate, and we're seeing the trend more going up in those kindergarten classes. So.
One of the things, Mr. Newcomb, where Eagle Mountain Saginaw fares better than some of our districts in the area is just that we have housing that's more affordable by comparison. So that does help us to churn and bring in families that can afford a house and have a family with them. So.
Mr. Newcomb, I'd like to, Kirk, if you'll go back to the last slide that you showed.
Oops, sorry. I'll let you
No.
Other way.
No.
Okay, so you pointed out, you see 147 starts. I mean, that's kind of shocking right there. So when we go to look at one of the last pages and you look at the ranges of the forecast, so next year's projection, because of the things you see in that those underneath the low range projection, that's where we're going to fall. Because the housing starts, they're slowing down. So now we have something to really look at, and besides, is it medium, or we just keep doing what we've always done? We've got those indicators now to kind of lead us in a certain direction.
To know which one that we're falling in, so you'll use that
Yeah.
for your ADA and
Yes.
that stuff.
And the one thing that could influence that is, of course, if interest rates drop, if the Fed drops the rate again, that could always make things interesting, especially come March, April, May. But we of course won't know that until later on.
And to your point there, and we have a lot of vacant developed lots. So
Right.
if that does happen, we'll have to be able to adjust
Right.
quickly
That
So we'll
positions us
start
well.
on them, right? As soon as they get that.
as soon as I get a buyer.
And then the cohorts, a little bit different thing that we've had, but on the cohort page, are we looking for that to be at least one, the grade level cohort history?
Oh, sorry, let me go back here. So we're looking at
Back.
back one
Back?
right here.
No,
Back one. Oh, sorry.
that one.
As far as
what we're
the
looking
percentage,
for?
or
Yeah, you've got numbers down here. In the bottom part of the chart is the 3-year average. Are we looking?
oh yes, sir. Yeah. So one means that we've retained students from grade to grade.
Okay,
So we're not losing some. Typically, we see jumps, ninth grade, because again, we have students for credits and other reasons that stay in ninth grade. So the ninth grade is always, in every district we do, is one of our highest. The big one that we look at, and the one that we focus on the most, is this first grade. And it's how many students started in kindergarten we still have in first grade, because some kids will stay at their private school or whatever, their daycare, until first grade, since it's not compulsory to be here until first grade. So we do typically look at that number as first grade, really kind of setting the stage for going forward through fifth grade.
But to your point, yes, we're not getting as many students. So either school choice is impacting
that will be something to watch, I guess, going forward, is that cohort.
And I would say something we're seeing, and I mentioned a little bit, but to really keep an eye on, is the homeschooling trend. That's the one, the charters and the private school kids, I believe, are going to stay the private school kids. I don't know the voucher is going to move the needle on a lot of folks because of the cost associated with private schools. But what homeschool families, and the biggest trend now that's going, is these micro schools where families are bundling together in groups of 6 or 7 families and saying, well, my kids will go to your house Monday, your house Tuesday, your house Wednesday. I'll teach them math, you teach them reading, whatever. And in a lot of families, but we went down to a conference and interviewed some folks, a lot of families, it's a convenience choice. So you do have your ones that have different ideological decisions, but there's ones that have convenience. So mom and dad work from home, and we want to go up to Montana for the weekend or for the week, and we can, work up there. We're going to bring kids with us and not get, voicemails from the school because my kid was absent. So there is a growing amount of that. There's also, I interviewed someone that said, it takes me 25 minutes to drop my kid off at school. I just couldn't be, that's a lot of time. I'd rather just keep him at home. So that is a major push right now, is folks that are looking for that flexibility. And it's a very, very fast growing movement, especially with the availability of curriculum and different online resources. And again, that cooperative nature that people are looking for, where they can all get together in a community of even up to a dozen. It's really starting to blur the line between homeschooling and like a small private schools is what we're seeing. So.
And I would suspect a lot of those kids are going to show up in middle school and high school.
Yes, so some of them do, because it does become a little bit more complex. Yeah. Plus all of the extracurriculars and things that draw those kids in your band, art, choir, theater, athletics, fine arts, all those things will pull those kids middle school and high school for sure. So there was a district I was looking at the other day, and they actually see in a certain they have a high charter population, and they see a lot of students jump in, I think at 7th grade, because the charter goes K through 6, and at 7th grade their enrollment bumps up because they go to the middle school or the junior high.
All right, two more on the 10-year forecast by campus level. I noticed we had 7 that had grown and 11 elementary schools that had dropped in attendance from the history of last year to the fall of this year. Is there any kind of pattern that?
Yeah, that's a little bit harder to predict. Sometimes when we see that, it's because boundary work's been done, but other times, again, competitiveness, school choice, you get a cohort of parents that decide we're going to take our kids out and we're going to work together in micro school. It happens in bundles, so we do see that every once in a while, but for each individual one, it would be very hard to kind of nail down what that factor was for some of them.
But if some of them dropped and it shouldn't have dropped due to housing starts, then maybe it's something we should look at if we got a bundle.
Well, and the other thing that you'll see too is some of that drop might not be due to housing or anything. It could be that 5th grade class was huge. You might have, 500 5th graders and you enrolled 350 kindergartners. And so by nature of them moving to middle school, you're going to lose 150 kids. So again, it just could be that you all do have some really large cohorts in that 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th grade. So as they start to move along, when you replace those students, kindergarten is going to catch up, but until some of those houses come in, it probably won't catch up at the rate to make it stay equal.
So the bubble going into middle school is impacting your numbers that you're seeing at elementary.
And then the next one, speaking of the middle and the high schools, they kind of went up and down too. Now Wayside's going to have a new capacity. It'll be at 1,200, right, when it's rebuilt?
Correct.
But
those
not
numbers
that,
would be-
it's still going to be over, but it's at 1,000.
Well, the rezoning will take care of that.
Some of those issues, okay. And we're going to get one that shows that next month when we're voting on attendance.
Yes, sir.
And see what it's going to
Yes, sir. Ms. Ring had a question too.
I thought I remember Bobby saying something about you guys working on some geodata that would help us understand a little bit more specific about if kids are actually making it to our schools that live in our district. Where
Sure.
are we at on that?
Sure. So that's something new we're doing this year. This is new to me as well, but from the process that we're, as far as I understand, we're working with a company called Datance, and their whole, the method that they use is using phone geolocations. And so if, we know that an elementary age student lives at this address, they can look at the phone and see if we know that they're not coming to the school, are they going to a charter? Are they going to private? If that phone leaves the house and goes to that place and comes back, we'll know that you would assume that they dropped their kid off at that school unless the parent's working there or something else. If the parent's working there, that car would stay there all day. That phone would stay there all day. So they have all kinds of algorithm stuff that I don't understand. They are computer whizzes beyond anything I can do. But basically, it's kind of like the Chick-fil-A app when it knows that you're at the Chick-fil-A and starts making your food. Same type of deal. So it'll track that. We actually did it with the homeschool conference we went to, where we tagged where the conference rooms actually were and saw kind of where those folks were headed. It was really interesting to see how they were working. But yeah, we're definitely working on that as far as trying to see where kids are going. Again, the homeschool one's going to be real tricky. Just trying to understand what those dynamics are. But I think to y'all's point earlier, some of those kids will return eventually, but doesn't help with ADA currently.
Do you guys have a feel for when we might be seeing that analysis?
I don't
as
know. I
part
can
of-
check with our research team and check with Cadence. Not sure how that process is progressing right now.
Thank you.
On the secondary, just interesting to see on the high schools, those going down except for Boswell. I mean, obviously Eagle Mountain's creeping up.
Right.
And obviously that could change, right? 54-inch water line could change a lot of that. Right, I mean, that's the big factor up there, isn't it, right now, in the Eagle Mountain High School attendance zone?
Yes.
That's the big thing that's
Yeah,
holding
that
up
and interest
development.
rates, yeah.
And obviously interest rates and things like that, right? But with the other, I mean, Chisholm being built out pretty much, right? Then there's that. I guess that's what, as you look at places that are built out, then it's level to, is that typically what
Well,
you
you're going to
see in
see,
an area that's built
like he was
out?
mentioning, the bubble in the 7th grade.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to hit the high schools.
Yeah,
And then the elementaries that are a little shy, they're going to get to middle schools, and we're not going to have as many kids in the middle school for
Yeah.
that time. It'll be a dip. And then it'll progress to the high schools.
Might be interesting to just see those numbers together, the leaving 12th graders and the incoming kindergartners against the total change in number, and then kind of forecasting that out, so we
Sure.
see some of those bubbles.
I can get with our research team. We can get you something like that. Absolutely.
it's just interesting to see that the Boswell one continue to.
Yeah, so Cleats, kind of what you're saying. So what do you think will help that Boswell zone? Say it's 2,600, I mean, it's over capacity. Do we have anything right now
Well,
that could help that?
The one thing that is the capacity for the high schools, but you also have the Hollinsville Center. So during the day, you don't have that big a number at those schools. So that's what helps alleviate that. It doesn't help with parking, or traffic, but as far as classrooms, it would help that.
Any other questions?
Great information.
Yeah.
Thank you so
I
much,
appreciate y'all. Look
Mr.
forward to
Kehoe.
seeing you all shortly again next quarter, hopefully.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks so much, y'all.
We appreciate you. Okay, our next report, will go into Mr. Hunter Lee on construction and bond project updates. Thank you again.
Thank you.
All right, let's go into, talk about Wayside, and then Hunter will pick it up at the, talking about the move-in. As you drive by, you can see all the landscaping that's going in, all the finishes coming together.
Yes, it is beautiful.
So there's some more pictures of all the landscaping. It's about the only thing not completed is right around the front entrance where they're putting the rock on the columns currently. Just some more examples of the landscaping up in the front. And then you have pictures of the courtyard, and down the bottom, you have some irrigation lines going in. And on the top right, just kind of an overview looking back to the north. And you can also see some more with the brown dirt, that's more of the landscaping dirt preparation. This is what you want to see in the top pictures. We're waxing the floors. And as I think there's maybe one classroom that hasn't been waxed. So all the hallways are been waxed, they've been covered up, and we're progressing. That's just things I just mentioned just a while ago. Finished work, the restrooms, partitions are in. And these are the pictures you see where there's no flooring. Well, that's not the case. They've taken care of that. You got bulletin boards that have gone up and put in place and are covered up, so make sure nothing gets on them. Just finished touch-up paint, working on some glass, and also below that lift is where the big media board's located in the media center library. But as far as, we went through it today. We're looking at getting final inspections, so it's progressing. It truly looks like a school today, as far as when you walk in it. And Hunter's got our little move-in schedule.
That's right. Big, yeah. Doesn't feel little. So tonight, I just wanted to share with you basically a summation, some important dates of our schedule that we have. Completed some of the dates, as we're already on November 17th. We essentially have a month and a half before kids get into this school. So there's a lot to do and a lot to be prepared for. And so this is a schedule that we've been coordinating with the campus with for nearly a year now. They've balled in, our admin has balled in, and this is what we've come up with, and I think we have a really good game plan. So we've classified this into 2 moves. One of those classifications is the classroom. So on October 27th through the 29th, we moved in these double-sided bookcases and crates. And so essentially every staff member is going to get a double-sided bookcase and 4 crates, which equates to about 12 boxes. It's just an efficient system in which the crates stack and they can organize their materials. And then they're on casters and they get rolled out. So that's for the classroom. And then we have the departmental move, which each department, athletics, fine arts are kind of our bigger ones. They have the most things in storage rooms. They assemble those materials into one space. And then on a designated day, which will be December 1st, our maintenance crew will come through and we'll move those materials to a designated space in the new building that will then await for Wayside staff to then come in, organize, and break down those materials. So the 14th, all departments were supposed to be packed. Today, all of our department heads and curriculum coordinators were to walk the campus and ensure that everything was packed and that the staff members are sure what was included in the basic book. So not only do we have the things that we're moving from the old building, but we also have to coordinate the new materials that we're ordering because things may be inadequate or have lived their best life, and now we need to order new for the new building. December 1st, like we talked about, maintenance will come through. We'll move all the pallets and basic book materials over to the new building. And then on the 15th, we will schedule all the curriculum coordinators, department heads will then come to the new building. They'll start breaking down all the pallets, boxes, all that good stuff. Organizing some of those departmental materials, and then we're also going to get the admin staff occupancy into the front office space so they can start setting up. On December 19th, all Wayside staff are to be packed. All those crates are to be filled along with the double-sided bookcases. And then on the 22nd, Rent-A-Crate's going to come through and move all those materials over to their designated classrooms in the new building. On the 2nd, we're expecting teachers to have the ability to occupy their space in the new building. That's, again, they don't have to come, but they're going to be given the ability to come on the 2nd to start organizing their classrooms if they choose to do so. And then, of course, on the 6th, we've got students arriving to the campus. Questions, comments, concerns on the move?
Are the teachers and administrators, everybody okay? I mean, I know there's probably
everybody's good.
stressed out,
I
but
think there was a lot of anxiety.
yes.
We initially pumped out this schedule, and there were some concerns, a lot of questions, a lot of clarifications that had to be made. But as soon as they got the crates, everybody started kind of packing their stuff up, and it felt like a big relief, it seemed like. So I think we're all ready to go.
I think we need to make sure none of the kids end up in those crates.
So we still got school going on there. How's that working? I mean,
About that.
still learning at Wayside?
Well, we have made plans for that, and we're working with our teachers to make sure that they have what they need so that instruction is able to continue over the next 3 weeks after we get back from Thanksgiving. One thing I will point out too, December 2nd, that's a Friday, and it's still our break. One thing that we did to really help our staff at Wayside, we gave them an additional locally allotted business day so that they can actually take that, whenever they would like to, kind of as a swap out for potentially coming in on that December 2nd Friday. January 2nd Friday, my apologies. So, yeah.
I guess, I mean, be resources and stuff for them to help, but I mean, I guess we can get, at that point, we can get students in the building, student organizations that can come and pile in and help as far as the move in and stuff like that, unloading crates and doing this, that.
Yeah, typically, with all the moves that we do, we keep kids out until the first day. And so really, staff and then support administration will come in and have typically been enough to help support the move-in of all of our campus.
And fine arts or athletics doesn't have any activities scheduled during that? Are they all closed and gone? No bands going on, no basketball?
No, we've
over
coordinated
Christmas,
with
yeah.
all of their schedules with this move, so there's nothing, if there's any materials that they need, they're going to keep it, but as far as where everything's stored and staged and the movement of what we're doing, we're not impacting any of our departments.
So there'll be a basketball middle school game at Wayside, the first week of January, not at the old gym, but at the new, first game will be there.
Absolutely.
That'd be
But
cool.
they'll probably park at Wayside, the old Wayside. Because we don't have a parking lot yet. We'll have a lot of that traffic.
Okay. So there'll be directions to get parents from,
There are maps that are going to be provided to the campus through Parent Square. We'll make sure that we get good communication out for athletic events, student queuing, parent parking, how they're accessing the site. All of that's going to be provided and communicated out to our.
Really have to commend Dr. Sewell Bernard
Right.
and her team. They have
100%.
worked really hard to handle all of these kinds of questions that y'all are asking, because those are ones that they've been planning for at the campus
Absolutely.
for a while.
Right.
Yeah.
and I know Teacher Jerry knows he's going from whatever classroom at Wayside old to,
Yep.
they already
Yes,
know
sir.
their classroom. You already know your new classroom?
I'm certain they know where they're going at this point. Yeah, is that accurate, Dr. Behringer?
Yeah.
There's
Yeah, it's on your box.
What I was
Okay.
wondering. January 8th?
January
All right. I'm going to be at that.
Elvis's birthday.
8th. January 8th. It's gonna
Have we
be
had any road improvements done on Old Decatur? Have we had to
Take
do
on
any
your
road
day.
improvements
Random
on Old
fact.
Decatur
Hold on,
other than
Craig-
just
Craig's asking a
got our
question.
2 entrances in and that's it?
Just the two approaches, and that's it. No other road improvements
Okay.
are designated.
Great.
Well, thank you to you and everyone that's been a part of this, Cleat, and the teachers and the Wayside staff and faculty.
It's
I know
been a real-
It's going to be exciting. I know it's going to be a lot of work, but
Right.
I hope that I hope they'll be pleased and be proud of their new surroundings, so.
Beautiful.
Absolutely.
Should be.
And this occupancy certificate's coming from the city of Saginaw?
Mhm. Yes, sir.
Okay.
All
Any other
right.
questions?
Okay, the
Okay.
Dick and Heidi Elkins Ag Science Complex. So as you can see, as you drove in here today, we're moving a whole lot of dirt. So at this point, we've prepped both building pads, right? So there's no more dirt work left to be done on the building pad itself. Here on this picture, you can see we've done a nice overlay of where the buildings are going to sit. You can see the main classrooms and arena in that orange color, where we've got our select fill put in, and then the ag barn is just to the left of it. Alongside with the earthwork that's being moved currently, we got some utilities going on, trying to get the storm drain line in as it's in the middle of a fire lane, so we can go ahead and get started on the fire loop and the back parking. And so that's kind of where we're going, and you'll see a progression of that from month to month board meeting. And then just some bond project updates. Saginaw High School renovations. Right now, we're working with the district, VLK. We're putting together a safety and logistics plan to present to the campus actually tomorrow. Then after we get approval for that, we'll then bring it to you and show you how we're going to be building 3 separate buildings at one campus at the same time. And so it's an exciting time, but it requires a lot of collaboration, requires a lot of coordination and a lot of forethought. And then you can look at us bringing in a GMPTU in the month of January. Elementary 19, we're finalizing the design of the campus. Construction is scheduled to start in the spring of 2026 with a fall 2027 opening. And then Watson High School, again, we're finishing up the plans there, looking to award a contractor in the March board meeting. That project will probably take about a year. We'll start this summer, 2026, and then finish by the fall of 2027. Saginaw Elementary, again, these next 2 are projects that we're forecasting out, just collaborating with the architect on design concepts and how it's going to fit in with the site. Again, you can look at that starting in June of 27 with a 29 opening, and then Stephen G. Newcomb starting in April 27 and opening in the fall of 2029. Be glad to answer any questions.
Questions?
I
Comments?
know we've seen the timeline, somewhat of timeline before, because I know there's much impacts, but on the Saginaw deal, what ballpark of what year would complete?
Saginaw High School?
Yes, Saginaw
Okay.
High School.
Yep, so we'll start next year. It'll be a year to get the first portion completed. So 2027, we'll be moving kids in to the new field house. We'll vacate the old one. And then in the year 2028, we'll be opening the turf indoor facility and the adjacent storage rooms. The ag and the scene shop will probably be in that first year, so 27, those would be open as well.
I guess when you move them out, they wouldn't have any use of
No, sir.
that existing facility, including
Nope.
their turf room or any of that.
It would just be, the only thing that they wouldn't have would be the turf room. So that's the only facility that they would be without during that time.
Other questions? Thank you, Hunter. We appreciate you.
Yep, thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, our next, is Mr. Dwayne Jones, Transportation Update. Good evening.
Thank you, Madam President, trustees, and Dr. Hollingsworth. So I am here tonight to report on the transportation planning that we've been doing for the 2026-2027 school year. So to start off, our current contract with Gold Star expires August 31st of 2026. So there are no more renewals with that. So we basically have two options at this point. So we can either do a request for proposal or that we can look at maybe going in-house for an internal operation. So a couple of key points with option one, to do a request for proposal. Right now, with the way the market is, we're not really expecting any big savings to come from that. And then even changing, if we were to change to a different contracting vendor, some of the same concerns that we have now, we just think potentially would just translate over to a new contractor. If we did the RFP process, that timeline is pretty much now. We would do the RFP now, and then they would come back early January, and then we would go through the process of presenting and doing that. Option two is to convert to an in-house internal operation. And with that, those key points, so we have, the district would have increased control over the day-to-day operations because we would be running it. We have some control now, but obviously as a contracted vendor, they have their way of running their company. So we have influence, but not total control. And then with that additional control, we think that would provide additional flexibility for us to more effectively and quickly respond to changes and demands because we're in control of it. And so we make those changes as we see needed. And then also just enhance customer service level, because those the employees that would be there would be district employees. They wouldn't be contracted. And so we feel that district employees, when they they would be wearing an Eagle Mountain hat. And so they would have more of a vested interest in serving our students and our community. So some of the considerations, why are we looking at doing this now? So again, the contract is expiring August 31. Probably the largest driver that we have for this right now is, obviously you guys are aware of the budget constraints and challenges that we have. So in doing this, there will be added flexibility for us potentially in the future to move some of our expenses for transportation from the M&O side over to the INS side due to the capital expenditure for buses. So currently right now, those dollars are tied up in the contract, and that comes from the M&O side. So potentially going forward, we might be able to move a good portion of that, possibly up to $3 million over to the INS side to free up monies on the M&O. With the ever-changing demand within the district, we've got Eagle Mountain High School coming on board, the added grade there this year, but then the continued growth that we see up and down Bonds Ranch, going west over to 1220, all that coming in, the need for additional transportation is just going to continue to grow. And so with us being in control of more of those items and being able to respond to those, we just think that an in-house operation would be more advantageous for the district. So what have we done to date? So Mr. Rob Welch and I have been working for several months. We have designed to identify a desired staffing model and then a budget to go along with that. And through that process, we worked obviously with each other, but we also contacted several surrounding districts, some larger, some smaller, both in-house and contracted service districts, and just compared their best practices with what we were looking at doing. We also sent the directors of transportation at those districts and the CFOs our staffing model and our conversion plan, implementation plan, so that they could look over it. And we just kind of talked through different things as far as key points that they might suggest, or if that they felt that we were on the right track. We also did quite a bit of research on the current market for both new and pre-owned buses. I'll get to that in a minute as far as our plan for capital acquisition. So as part of the conversion planning process, so this morning we did meet with Gold Star and we did notify them, and we discussed the logistics to go forward and the conversion plan, and it was a very good positive meeting. We had a good discussion with them, and so that has already took place this morning. Obviously, right now we are at the board meeting, and so while there won't really need to be a formal action that we are recommending to go in-house, there will be action items later that Mr. Welch will present with regards to staffing. So we will be bringing forward tonight a director of transportation and then also an administrative assistant for that person. And that will be an action item tonight so that we can add them to this year's current staffing structure. So if we go forward and with this plan, tomorrow morning and part afternoon, we are going to have meetings with the Gold Star employees over at the maintenance facility, and to just to talk with them, kind of go over so they hear it straight from us, what the plan is to go forward. And then also just to answer any questions and just make sure that they're heard and that they do feel valued, and that to assure them that there's nothing really they need to worry about, that we are going to still continue the partnership with Gold Star through the conversion process, and that we'll be transitioning several of those employees over. We will then also post the position for the Director of Transportation and that admin assistant tomorrow, basically, if that's the direction that the board decides that we want to go tonight. Again, I already mentioned the action items that Mr. Welch will bring forward. So there will be additional action items in December where we're talking about maintenance tax notes, and that will be the funding source for us to make those capital acquisitions for the buses. And then I'll talk a little bit in a minute, but the summer of 2026, so our plan right now is for all the drivers, the monitors, and the mechanics. Those staff members at Gold Star will automatically, let's say, move over in the summer of 26. We felt that those particular groups, especially with the hiring shortages that we've had, and the challenges that we've had thus far, we want to make sure that we secure those people for those that want to come over and work for the district. So they're going to be a direct move over in the summer. For office staff, the plan there is that's more of a TBD. That will be determined once that Director of Transportation is on board. He or she will be able to participate in those interviews and be able to assess and put together the team that he or she wants.
Those conversations start tomorrow with the people, with the staff moving them over?
Yes, we will have our initial kickoff meeting.
Right. So, and some of the other folks that you've talked to in the other districts, did they give you a percentage of folks that said, yeah, absolutely, we'll come on over and come to the district? Are we expecting 95% of the folks are going to come? Or are we expecting 50% of the folks are going to come? Or
and the ones that I've either been, that I talked with, 95, maybe a little high, but definitely more than 50. They didn't really give me an actual percentage, but I would say it's probably more in the 80 to 85 range. Okay. It really comes down to a lot, if for those that maybe they've been with that other, the contracted company for a long time, or they're just doing it more as a part-time job, and to change again or change to another company they don't really want to do, so they either just they discontinue driving a bus. But yes, for the large majority, I would say that they move over.
How many people are we talking about?
Drivers alone, there's roughly about 100.
Okay.
So, and then,
Mr. Morgan, one thing that's really job one of our new director and his administrative assistant is to begin to make sure that we've got a full team ready to go for August of 26.
So moving on to just some quick numbers as far as cost details. So the 25-26 for the expense right now that we're going to do with Gold Star, their basic contract that they have is right at $8.2 million. Our estimated first year cost to do an in-house operation is right around $7.6 million. And then at your place, I believe you've got a proposed budget that Mr. Welch and I put together, and that includes payroll cost and a proposed staffing plan, supplies and equipment, and then some miscellaneous operating expenses.
So for this year, we have a contract with them, Gold Star, that runs through August 31st.
Yes, sir.
And as I understand, we're making monthly payments to them.
Yes.
So we'll have some double costs there, I guess, till we get to the end of this year, because we're going to pay them. We got a contract, a written contract with
Yes.
them. We're paying them a 12th each month, so.
That's one of the things we talked about with them this morning, is knowing that, and we explained to them, for the school, typically our year ends June 30, and we start a new school year July 1. And so we'll work with them to potentially rework the contract so that we're finished as of June 30. But we'll have to work out the details of what that cost would look like.
Well, if I have a contract with you and you're paying me
We're gonna pay them we have to pay them out
Okay.
for the rest of the term of
Whatever
the
we owe
contract.
them.
That's right.
And so when the budget amendment comes to us in the December 25 with the maintenance tax notes, do we know how much that's going to be, how much that amendment will be?
Well,
have you got any idea of that?
So the additional amendment will be for basically our staffing, our starting staffing for our department, which would be, again, starting with our director and admin assistant. So, yeah, there will be some implementation startup cost that will overlap into this year. But when we look at the savings over the projection for, well, just even comparison for this year's contract, we've got about $600,000 savings projected for next year. So, as far as compared to the $8.2 million that we have in the contract this year or next year, we're still going to be, when you look at it over 2 years, we're still going to be in the same ballpark as what we'd be spending with Gold Star. So, but we will have, like I said, we'll have some front-loaded cost before we get into the next fiscal year.
Yeah, I would think that the overlap there is going to be, well, I guess when we get the budget amendment, we can see how much that is, how much it's going to.
For the most part, it's going to be the director and admin assistant till we get to the end of the school year, and then we'll have 2 months. Well, we're changing our fiscal year, so really just June is really all that we'll have in the way of overlap of potential staffing. At that point, then July and August will fall into the next year. For like I said, the additional staffing of bringing Gold Star's staffing on board with us. So.
And the other thing that's of concern is just taking on that additional debt. Taking on $20 million of additional debt. And then it continues on in the future years also.
Yes.
3 years, we're going to be adding another purchase of buses.
We will have that potential of taking on additional debt. Right now, we're technically paying for that in the current Gold Star contract. We think about $3 million of that current $8.2 million is tied to the capital acquisition cost of buses, and so we're basically, that's just going to be broken out as far as how we look at it going forward. It'll be debt on our side, but we'll have flexibility in how we handle that debt in the future. Whether, if we don't, right now it'll be on the M&O side, but we'll have flexibility to refinance that to the INS side at some point in the future that requires a bond election or proposition but that we'll have that flexibility at some point in the future if we want to move that off the M&O side.
Do you see that impacting our, I mean, having taken that on our bond rating because it is that additional?
It is, there is that possibility, you know, as we add a debt level, but 20 million, yes, it could impact the rating slightly, but the impact to that should be relatively minimal, even with a slight downgrade. It should be minimal to the actual rate adjustment for anything that we issue in the way of bonds in the short term, because right now I don't anticipate us to have large bond issuances in the next year or two. So I don't think that the impact will be significant at all.
We feel confident that the capacity can be secured in the timeframe?
As we're talking about taking on additional debt on 2 people, we're going to have to start buying buses pretty quick, I would think, right?
Yeah,
buying
that'll start happening like in December. I mean,
Aren't we buying buses? I mean, Gold Star's not buying the buses. I mean,
That was
aren't we-
what Mr. Welch was saying, is that's part of our contract with them. Part of the contract expense, about 3 million of the 8.2, is we're paying that annually anyway.
so when we're doing it in-house, we're still buying I mean, I guess I'm a little confused. It makes it sound like we have to start buying buses when we didn't have to buy buses when we were contracted with the Gold Star. Gold Star runs our operations, but they're charging us for the buses.
They're charging you for the
Yes.
buses. They own the buses. That's the difference.
But they're, okay.
Yes, sir. We would now own the assets.
They're, in essence, they're passing that cost of them making that capital investment in buses onto us in our contract. And so we estimate that to be roughly $3 million of the $8.2 million that we're spending with them.
I guess that was one of my questions. If they have a capacity built that they were going to buy 30 buses this year, are they transferring that capacity to us to let us buy those, or are they going to take it and go to another district? And there's only a couple of bus manufacturers out there, so.
right. Are you talking about the actual unit?
Yes, the unit itself.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're not going to need, so a lot of the used ones, a large portion of them, we talked about that this morning. So it's actually in the next slide, I believe. But so part of our plan as far as for the buses is that, we're estimating that we're going to need about, right now we're saying 140. The Gold Star fleet is 128, which obviously is more than the home to school routes we have. We have 95 home to school routes. But we have built up to where we have 128 buses for extracurricular and athletics and whatnot. So we put together a model that is saying 140. I don't know that we're going to start with 140 right off the bat, but we're also going to tier it so that all the buses don't age out at the exact same time. So in part of our discussion this morning was, since we are their largest client in this area, Gold Star would be interested in selling some of the current fleet that we have to us to fit into one of these tiers. Obviously, it would be in either tier 2 or tier 3. And then, so that reduces the number of new buses that we have to go out and procure. So talking with the manufacturers, you're correct. I mean, you've guys got Bluebird, Thomas, and Southwest. And only one of those is farther out than 6 months. The other 2 are being able to deliver prior to that. So yeah, I mean, we're not going to have to go out and try and find 140 new.
We anticipate that Gold Star would be interested in selling some of their fleet to us. I mean, and that was based upon just our initial conversation this morning.
Are they already updated or we have the new seatbelt equipment?
They're not yet. So that is coming through. So that's basically until 2029 is the deadline that all buses will have to be outfitted with a 3-point. Or there's different things that you can submit as far as if the bus is not able to, if it takes it out of warranty because it's not structurally made to be able to accommodate different things like that. But we have until 2029.
Okay.
There was nothing in the current contract with Gold Star about adding seatbelts, right?
No. nothing was in
So,
there.
Mr. Jones, I hate to do this to you,
That's
but
okay.
we do have quite a few things to do in closed session, so, and I'm sure we have some more questions and comments, so we're going to take a pause.
Okay,
And then when we begin back after our welcome and pledge, we'll start you over.
okay,
Not over, but we will
We'll pick up where you
pick
left
up where
off.
we left off.
Okay.
Thank you so much. I think great information, and I want to make sure that we give everybody time to answer any questions and comments that they might
not a
have.
problem.
Okay, so thank you. So it is currently 6:10 PM on November 17th, 2025. The board will now recess for dinner and then reconvene in a closed meeting pursuant to the following sections of the Texas Open Meetings Act. Section 551.071 for the purpose of private consultation with the board's attorney. Section 551.072 for the purpose of deliberating on a purchase, exchange, lease, or value of property. Section 551.074 for the purpose of deliberating the appointment, employment, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of an officer or employee. Section 551.076 for the purpose of deliberations regarding the deployment or specific security personnel or devices or security audits, and will be Chief Ramirez will be going over the detection audit report findings and the district vulnerability assessment. And section 551.082 to deliberate in a case involving the discipline of a public school child or complaint against an employee. And section 551.0821 to discuss specific personal identifying information about a student. Board of Education of the Eagle Mountain Saginaw Independent School District. The board is reconvening the public meeting on November 17th, 2025 at 7:13 PM. And will now consider the subject set forth in the posted agenda. Good evening. Welcome to everyone. We're glad to have you. And we're especially happy to have Remington Point and Mr. Byron and his group to open our session tonight. So if you want to get started, that would be great.
All right, welcome everybody. But we're just so excited to be welcomed here to be a part of this ceremony and to introduce some of the students at Remington Point. Our students that we were able to bring and select with us all model what we call our Panther Pride at Remington Point. So it's positivity, respect, integrity, determination, and excellence. And when surveying their teachers, all of their names came up very quickly. Students who really embody what it means to be a Panther. And so we're excited to be able to celebrate each one of them individually. In fourth grade, we have Olivia Suvanabong with parents Mr. Song and Miss Nolita. Olivia really enjoys dancing, singing, and art outside of school. And her teacher describes her as the student who is everyone's best friend. Known for her kindness, her caring spirit, she often talks about how her father is her hero, and just about everything she does in class, she takes immense pride in being able to deliver that work back to her father at home.
That's awesome. That's so cool.
We have in fifth grade, Analicia Suarez with Mr. and Miss Suarez as parents. She is active in our student council and takes part in several things across campus as far as making sure our flags are raised and lowered each day with care and respectfully. Annalise has a passion for writing outside of school. She really enjoys art, and she plays softball primarily at shortstop and first base. And I'm sorry, not art, but writing outside of school. Ms. Fatima Romero, parents Mr. and Mr. Romero and Ms. Carmen, and she is active in our student council as well. They've taken also projects in making sure our campus is clean, making sure students are able to get in the building easily and welcome with a smile. And she enjoys math and has a strong interest in art outside of school. She has perfect attendance in our first 9 weeks. When asked what she loves most about Remington Point, Fatima shared it's really the community. And when asked specifically what it is about Remington? She said, it's just in the hallways, it just speaks for itself. Diego Valencia in 5th grade. Parents, Mr. and Miss Valencia. Diego enjoys math and reading. He also plays baseball outside of school as well as basketball. He also had perfect attendance the first 9 weeks. And he said his favorite part of being at Remington Point was all the decorations, the events, the holidays, the celebrations. And with everything happening on campus, there's just always something to be excited about.
That's awesome.
All right. Please stand. And please stand. And, all right.
Please join me for the United States Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Outstanding. Outstanding job, Remington Point. All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Byron, and your wonderful students. Favorite part of the night, right? Okay, so we'll move to communications. We have a special recognition. Coach Avshan, celebrating Jim Howard's retirement as the voice of Boswell. It's going to feel different from now on.
Very different. President Tolbert, Dr. Hollingsworth, Board of Trustees, we don't get to celebrate selfless people enough. And these two right here embody selflessness in what they do. 20 years ago, Jim Howard was Saturday game. His daughter was a pure gold dancer. Boz won a game. The next morning, there's no tagline in the paper. And from that moment, he began a legacy of broadcasting and being the voice of Boswell football. Throughout these last 20 years, countless baseball games, basketball games, football games. He even has done a number for all the high schools, graduation ceremonies, and bringing it through. His wife, Sandy's been by his side, taking pictures on the sidelines so parents could watch the game and get professional photos off the internet and bring them home. And I am so proud as a friend to honor Jim and Sandy Howard for the job that they've done. Jim's dad and stepmom are here. If y'all would like to stand. Very good. But needless to say, friend and legend, thank you for a job well done, Jim and Sandy Howard. Thank you very much.
Golden microphone.
We do, yeah.
Jim was even recognized here a couple of years ago. I think I may have gotten in touch with Coach Ab during the day, one day when I was driving around listening to boys on the little ticket, as they call it. And Jim Howard and his crew were recognized for being the Homer Call of the week.
Was Steve Collier? Steve Collier was on that one?
And so that was some DFW-wide recognition.
Great.
We are forever grateful, very grateful.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, and hope that you still come to the games when you want to, but you just won't have to critique the next one.
I was sharing with you, I was in Australia visiting my son Justin and listened to a broadcast of his on the Pioneer football from Australia. So,
oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
He
cool. Serves all over the world.
Very cool.
Oh, I will note this too. I had a parent on Friday ask me because this is part of that legacy you talked about for our community. I had a parent say, hey, do you know where I could potentially watch or listen to the Eagle Mountain playoff game? And Coach Ab let me know that they had audio broadcast on boswellsports.com on YouTube. So your reach and your legacy is beyond, not just for the Pioneers, but the spirit of our entire school district, and still is living on. So great job.
All right, thank you again so much. So that concludes all the fun things. If you would like to stay, you are more than welcome. However, now we go on to the reports of the superintendent that we did not finish earlier. So thank you for coming. If you would like to stay, you're welcome to, but if you would like to go home and do something else, thank you for coming, and thank you again.
Thank you.
Go Cowboys.
Yeah, go Cowboys, that's whatever. All right, Mr. Jones, I think you were kind of about in the middle of where you were of your presentation, and we were interjecting questions, and I think we still probably have some questions, so.
Yes, thank you. Actually, well, if you have questions or more questions, I really only had one slide remaining for the presentation, which was the pros and cons. Okay. So the pros and cons of doing an in-house operation, you'll see in front of you. So again, we talked a little bit before where the district would maintain full control over all the different policies and then the day-to-day operations. And then we do believe that employing district staff as opposed to contracted staff, again, Gold Star employees have done a great job or whatever, but just whenever they wear a district hat, they have a higher vested interest in our students and our staff. So, and then again, that main driver of the potential $3 million flexibility potentially in the future to move monies from the M&O side to the INS side. Cons, we did identify a couple of cons. So the same things that we've been challenged with through the past years as far as shortages and HR things, those would now be, they would still be going on, but they would be, the district would need to bear those responsibilities. And then we've already talked a little bit about the bus fleet. So both to purchase and then maintain a bus fleet does require a fairly significant amount of capital. And then the district can no longer deflect shortcomings. So I'm sure you've heard it somewhere before as far as, well, it's Gold Star, it's Gold Star. And so that would really go away, even though whether it's Gold Star or not, it's still us. And so it's still the district and we're still transporting those students. So it just would be where all of that would fall onto the districts.
Dwayne, I'm going to go back to this capital acquisition slide. I know there were some, I think you were about midway through on that. So if you want to talk about.
The one right before that. Right.
Oh, it's right before capital acquisition.
Okay. So yeah, so we, I think we talked a little bit about the number of buses that we're looking at doing. I don't know that we're going to need all 140 to start with, but Mr. Welch and I put that into the model to just try and be, not to say that it's worst case scenario, but we really tried to put higher numbers in there so that we could build a budget that we thought would suffice. And so with 140 buses, even at 128. There's times where we have, at 128 bus fleet currently, we have times with athletics and different extracurricular events that take all those buses up. One example that we kept using before was we had a Tuesday night. It was a middle school football night or whatever, and we needed 24 buses on a Tuesday night. So that just kind of gives an example of how our district is growing and what the need is. So 140 buses, we're going to try and split it out over those different tiers.
Did that keep us from being late to a playoff football game like we were at Denton? Our band didn't get there till the first quarter.
That would certainly be our goal. The more that we have, and then we're not waiting on route buses to come back, basically. And that's a lot of times that's what it's being caused by, especially when we're having to travel to farther distances. Is just we try and get all the buses out that we can that are available, but if it goes into that where now We've used all of our surplus, quote unquote, and now we're going to go into route buses to cover the remaining. Until those route buses are actually back, that's what causes that. So yes, hopefully that would alleviate or hopefully reduce, if not prevent any of that happening again. So for sure. And then again, the funding source options are at the bottom of that page. So maintenance tax notes, there's some other options there, but the one that we're looking at doing is the maintenance tax notes. And that's the one that I mentioned before that Mr. Welch would be bringing something, if we go forward with this, that it would be something that he would bring forward in the December meeting or at the December meeting for action.
So now you're ready for more questions?
Certainly.
I have one.
Okay, I have some too, but I'm going to let everybody else go first, but you might answer.
So on the second page of the handout that you gave us, under drivers and monitor, I think this is what we're planning, what our projected costs are for
Okay.
the drivers and the monitors. For, I guess, 4.6 million. What is that? How did we get to that number? Did we plug, this is my big concern, is that I think the one reason Gold Star has so much trouble hiring drivers is they don't pay well. They're not as competitive as districts who are in-house in a lot of cases. And so I was kind of hoping that when we don't have to pay the third party, and if we bring this in-house, that would allow us to be much more competitive with how we're paying the drivers. So to get to that 4.6 million, what number did we plug in there? Do you know?
So for drivers, we used 25 an hour.
Yeah, we tied that to our TASB market studies and looked at averages to make sure that we're building a model that is competitive.
And that also includes
in the market for DFW.
That's not just salary. That number includes benefits
and all, yeah.
everything. So
Now,
How does that compare to the current number?
It's higher.
I'm sorry?
I know we've seen the current number. I don't remember it off the top of my head. So I was asking what their current number would be, comparable number with.
Your current entry-level pay?
They just did a fairly nice raise or whatever. And they're now at 24. So, and then they're planning to do another 50-cent bump in January.
So not huge.
So I would not say much more competitive. I
Well,
would say competitive.
I wonder how recent that up to 24, because last I heard not too long ago, they're at 21.
Yeah, well, the 24, I think there was one in between, but the 24 literally just came about in the last month and a half.
Yeah, that's sort of what I figured.
So the benefits, does that include, now they'll be employees of ours, so did we take into consideration insurance?
Yes.
TRS?
Yes, ma'am.
All those pieces?
Yes,
Just making sure.
we did.
That would just be my hope that if a third party isn't getting their big chunk of the pie, that we would be able to be more competitive with our drivers. I believe drivers with their CDLs can go somewhere else and get paid more.
Sure.
So y'all have already taken that into consideration. That was what moved the needle for me. I just want our drivers to make more.
Absolutely.
I think the answer is yes. We do most repairs and maintenance, correct, with buildings that we already have, right? So we wouldn't need buildings, we'd need no structure if we were to make this move.
No, there's a transportation facility there. The only thing we may need to do as we continue to grow, is additional parking for the actual buses. And that may be something that we need to look at right now. I mean, we're right there where we're pretty full with what we have.
It's our facility
Yes.
today, so we'd be looking at that either way, right?
Yes.
They don't have their contract doesn't obligate them to park them.
Correct, yes. And we have the space that's right there behind the maintenance facility already, so it's land that we already have. We would just need to concrete it. Yes, sir.
So one more. So are we going to have 80 buses right out of the gap? Is what this would say? We're going to buy the 45 and 35? Is that right? From Gold Star?
Those are, well, I mean, that would be the goal, but that's just how we have it kind of split out as far as the tiers that we're looking at, so that we have different ages. But yes, if we could get all 45 and 35 from them, that would be ideal.
80, and so we're able to find 48 more without a problem?
Shouldn't be, I mean,
And I just asked that because we're a big construction company, we can't even find pickups.
Right, now,
Much less finding buses.
yes, and we have, I mean, in buying both maintenance work trucks and vans, I mean, the lead time on those is pretty long, but in the gentleman that we've talked to with National Bus Sales, yes, I mean, I think that this is a doable.
Okay, and the only other question I had is that why would Gold Star give up those buses to us when they're going to take a contract that we canceled and go to another district? If they were to sell us buses, then they're going to have to go scramble to find buses at the next district. So if they've decided to do it, that's great. That was one of my concerns too.
If that, well, is that a question? I mean, like.
Yeah, I mean, they've already decided
Yes.
With the numbers that you have on here, they're good. Y'all take them. Time, promise, and go.
Well, we didn't really, I mean, so this is the number this comes up to 140. We didn't necessarily say, hey, we're buying these from you. But in our conversation this morning, we just talked about, without putting a number to it, we just said we would be interested. They agreed that they would be interested in a sale. We just need to identify what we would like.
Okay.
And then we'll work, we'll work through that.
But this morning was the first conversation you had with them about taking
Yes,
over,
ma'am.
about
Yes,
any
ma'am.
of this,
Correct.
including
Yes.
taking over buses, right?
Correct.
So we don't necessarily
We
know
don't.
that we have
When
those.
school starts, just want to make sure we have.
And
You
just
ha-
so
we
you
would
know,
have to
I
have
asked the
them.
very
Yeah.
similar questions as we were going along and making our plans, and there are other places to buy used buses. I get emails about once every 3 weeks from a vendor that sells used buses. And so we're hopeful that ours, they already say Eagle Mountain Saginaw ISD on the side of them, so that's convenient. And we're kind of banking on the fact that they may not need as many buses as we have in their other locations, but if they do, then my question to our folks was, can we get other used buses elsewhere? And the answer is yes. Okay. And so we know that that's another reason that we want to move forward with hiring a director so that that person makes sure that all of these boxes are being checked between now and next August.
Good deal.
So but that is possibly another place for overlapping costs too, because you may have to pull the trigger on some of these buses soon while you're still paying for buses under the existing contract. If the ones they might want to keep that you're going to have those.
Yeah, via the maintenance tax notes, yes, ma'am. That is a potential overlap.
And 20 million would cover them, no matter, under different scenarios or under this scenario?
Under this scenario, where we've got a mixture of new and used buses, and again, we built that off of a model of 140 buses, but I don't know that we'll need that to start off with, so. But yeah, that 20 million was the necessary.
Tiering them is completely intentional to make sure that we don't end up with all of them aging out at the same time. You know.
Anything else? Any other questions?
Good job, Dwayne. Thank you.
Wait, I think Steve
Well,
has
it's
something.
probably
else
more
to
for Rob than it is for Dwayne, I
Okay.
guess. The debt service for the fleet that takes it up to 9.8 million in year 4. I kind of wish we had a bid of some kind from Gold for how much it would go up from 8.2 million, because that's $1.6 million more than at least what we're paying currently. And I know you were talking about a savings in 26, 27, but pretty quickly that savings turns into a deficit in the years ahead.
What has been on average as we've renegotiated these? Can you give an estimate or just ballpark how much the yearly cost has gone up as we've renegotiated these contracts, Rob?
And I'm looking to Dwayne because it's been about.
Yeah, it's varied. I mean, so to a certain degree, because we've always kind of beat them up on the CPI, but so they've lowered it. So we've gone where we've had, like, I think last year was only 140,000. But then it's been as high as in the 600,000 range. That's been when CPI was more at the 3.5%. And then one of those in the recent years, they actually helped us out with Smart Tag as part of the increase. They basically just helped us out with the initial payment for Smart Tag. But it's been, round numbers, I would say somewhere anywhere from 150, 200,000 to about 600, 650.
So if you figure about 300K a year
350.
in the projection of what that increase would look like if we're following trends of any kind.
So we're paying 100% of the smart tag costs today?
We will if we go forward.
We will if we go forward, yes, but right now I thought they're still.
They're still paying, yeah, they pay $3,000.
And that's in your but that's in your numbers.
We've
the
already
impact
accounted
of
for,
that.
yes, that we would be taking that over, that
Yes,
36,000.
By being able to purchase some of their buses, we've already got some of the hardware, I guess, in there, right?
Correct, yes, yeah, we would have.
Installed in those buses.
Yes, both the hardware and then the tablet is actually removable, but yes, that'll all be part of when we have a more in-depth conversation with them as far as what we want to
Do you
transition.
think there's any room for, as we look at buses, and again, I know it's initial conversations, for there to be any negotiation of the contract that we currently have? The prorate and get some buses and maybe work out any kind of deal, savings or not?
I don't really know how to answer that question yet because it's so early.
So early.
It's
It's
very
so
early.
early.
Yes, sir. Good work. Thank you, Dwayne.
Thanks, sir.
Anything else? Any other comments or questions? Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Dwayne. We appreciate you. A lot of work, a lot of information. Thank you. All right, that completes our operations reports. Now we'll do education services report. And the first one is monthly balance scorecard, Dr. Behringer. And you do have some additional information at your place.
Yeah, and that should be accurate in most of your books already, but I know we had at least one that
Yeah,
was
so
not
he just
accurate.
gave us the whole, he just gave us the whole new set. There's a couple of corrections.
Madam President, Dr. Hollingsworth, members of the board, we're humbled to be able to give you an update on our balanced scorecard, our progress. As you know, you approved the priorities, 4 priorities, also the strategic objectives, and then, of course, the lag measures a couple of board meetings ago. Also, we presented last month what the calendar would look like to give you an expectation of what updates you will receive in your monthly board meeting. So that still holds and reigns true. Tonight, what you're going to hear is an update in 1.1, and hopefully you saw on the calendar, you will always receive information pertaining to 1.1 and what we're doing on a day-to-day basis. Also 1.5, attendance, same thing, you will hear that monthly. 2.1 through 2.3, and then also 3.1. So looking at 1.1, that first one there is the number of walks that we have. And so you see for the first 6 weeks, the elementary and also secondary, all of those totaling up to 21, the total of our classroom walks. Again, we meet every single Monday in elementary and a secondary group and talk about our attendance and our touch points, which we'll talk about here in a second, but then also what those implementation walks look like in our classrooms. Looking at our achievement this month in Module 1 and Module 2 for math and 2nd through 5th grade, those are the numbers. One of the requests that you all made in our previous meeting was to know when those assessments were taken. So we added that information here as well. Third through 4th grade, ELAR. Again, those are the dates and then the assessments for Unit 1 and then Unit 2. So a theme that you will see, and again, it's often hard, and we talk about it a lot in our department and also with our principals. Oftentimes, it's very difficult to look at data in isolation. One of the things that I want to remind you all, since we have a new curriculum, this is really the year that we're creating that baseline. So you're not able to measure against what we did previously because this is the first year with the curriculum.
So there's differences in the learning capacity of Unit 1 and Unit 2, but those are 2 totally different assessments on a totally different subject matter.
Same subject matter, different assessment. So you're not looking at apples to apples, right? If you're
Different
looking at-
units, so different concepts have been covered.
Correct.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So there
It's
is,
not a cumulative test. It's a
Right.
test on the
Correct.
material for that
for
period.
that particular period.
Yes, sir.
Very well
And
said.
so, as you see a certain percentage
Yeah.
go up or down, is that a concern that the test wasn't understood or that the learning wasn't understood? Or is it a concern?
I think the short answer is we just don't know yet, because you're really establishing that baseline data. I will tell you that, when the streets are paved with gold throughout the district, we would hope for approaches at 90. We would hope for meets at 60, and we would hope for our masters at 30. That's kind of where that's the, 5 years from now, I'd love for us to be bumping up on those kinds of numbers as you look at these assessments. Yes, sir.
And I haven't looked at this curriculum yet. I'm going to visit one of the schools after the holidays. But does this curriculum spiral at all?
A lot.
Okay. I'm assuming that, but okay. I just wanted to make sure.
Excuse me. And I was chuckling because it's one of the things that our educators have struggled with a little bit. Our previous curriculum was more on the mastery continuum, right? We mastered something, then we moved to concept. That's not the case here. It is absolutely a spiral. Yes, ma'am. Very
Great,
good
thank
question.
you.
Very good question.
And I know you said this is our baseline, but we're still using this data. If you were, for example, to see a huge drop off in one of these, even though it's different material, we'd be concerned and we'd be doing something about that.
Unequivocally. One of the things that I would add to this, in the conversations that we have every single Monday about our instructional walks and also our attendance, I even mentioned it this morning with our 2 groups. When we're looking at our data, we are still having conversations with our students and our different grade levels about the achievement. So if you're seeing gaps in different student groups, we're addressing those. And we use this data for the RTI process. So yes, ma'am. Anything that is concerning, we're absolutely addressing. And we're using the numbers to do so. So here you see DCA 1 for Spanish. And I think we have DCA 2 coming up here pretty quick.
District Common Assessment.
District Common Assessment.
DCA. Okay. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you for that help, Doc.
And Dr. Behringer, I know I've asked this question. I'm not sure if I got an answer or if maybe I just don't remember it. So how this curriculum does not, I know that we look at it for RTI, but how does this address kids with special needs?
For our students, they have the same curriculum.
They do?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. We were having that conversation, unless they are like my son, right? If they are in a specialized self-contained classroom where they're using the unique curriculum, and that is the actual name of it. Outside of that, all of our other students are getting the same curriculum.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
great, thank you.
And that's a very appropriate question, and it's important to also point out because they're taking the same assessment when they take the STAR assessment.
Right.
Okay. For ELA R, 6th through 8th grade, but then also English 1 and English 2. That is how we are achieving. I ask about this one going back to the baseline because we have the same curriculum, but I was told by Ms. Wohl, Ms. Tucker, and also Ms. Alloway, the assessment was different. So we did not want to give the illusion or the thought process that you're measuring apples to apples, because anytime you're looking at it in a continuum, that would be the perception, at least that I would have, and we're having those conversations. Okay. For middle school science and all the way up to biology, for our District Common Assessment 1 versus our District Common Assessment 2.
I'll tell you another thing we've had the discussion just to kind of go behind the curtain a little bit, when we've had discussion about some of these DCAs or unit exams where we've seen kind of an inflated performance. Well, we know what our performance was back in the spring, and we're kind of like, is that rigorous enough? I mean, we need to go back and assess whether or not the assessments themselves are at the level that we would want to see on the long-term assessment they're going to take. So.
Yeah, to kind of echo and add a piece to that, that Dr. Hollingsworth just shared. We're looking at, we have a tool that Ms. Alloway brought where we're able to look at the rigor of our assessments and ensure that what is saying that is being assessed is actually being assessed.
Okay.
All right, just to make sure what we're looking at is valid. All right, we understand and we believe that it's reliable, but it's important to know that if I am assessing or says that I'm assessing figure 19D, English teacher, right? And we're looking at inferencing. If that's what it says that is being assessed, that's actually what the standard is that is being assessed. So we're also looking at that piece as well. Okay. Going to our attendance on 1.5, we want to see, go ahead.
On the DC, is that the, sorry, I just, something, just the first taking of the test? Because I know that you can retake those and relearn it. So it's the first shot, first grade, because I know I have, you know, mine, kids have taken it and then have to retake it. So I just want, those numbers are the first time they take it, not any correction after that.
Correct.
Yes, sir.
Which is what is in our grade and reporting handbook, right?
Yeah,
we have the ability to be able to retake the assessment, but for data purposes, when we're talking about our cadence of accountability, it need not be inflated. We need to know how we perform that first time so we can address it accordingly. Very, very good question. Attendance. The green is what we want to see. I wish I could say it all different. Green is what we want to see. I sent out in my newsletter on Friday that we were 1.12 better than last year. All right,
For period 2, which is second 6 weeks.
Correct.
Yes, sir.
1.12 better than last year. So we're continuing to have those conversations. We're continuing to knock on doors. We had a campus, I think Saginaw High School did 30 home visits, 30-something home visits.
They did 22 and Island did 8.
Okay. Home visits. So not just the touch points, but we're going out and knocking on doors of students and parents and having those conversations.
I want to point out that week 11, 91.93, I believe we discussed, Dr. Behringer, that was last year accompanying the half day.
Correct.
That we tanked on attendance.
Correct.
And so changing that, thank you board, to a full day for teachers to be able to work together, removing that as an instructional day, you can see the result.
Huge.
Yeah, big change. So y'all did that.
Very, very big difference. Congratulations and thank you, board. Again, talking about the touch points, totaling 5,642 touch points, and those touch points are a contact. It is not just an attempt. It's not just an email or I left a voicemail. That is a two-way transmission.
Amazing.
So special kudos to our administrators and Ms. Alloway and also Ms. Sanders.
I'll hit kudos to communications as well with Parent Square as a parent. Parent Square's
Me too.
great. And to get that and then be able to, hey, there's a tardy or there's a absence and fill in the note right there is incredibly efficient.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So where was she?
Oh, it was Cannon. It was a football game, as a matter of fact.
I'm not going to say anything. As you see here, there's a screenshot of one of our systems called Attendance Plus. This is through Parent Square, all right, the company. And so this is a screenshot of what that looks like. We are able to, this is not interactive, but when you're actually in the platform, when you're in the system, you're able to click on these different campuses and different information, and it goes a little bit further. So let's say that I were to click on Eagle Mountain Elementary, that first one there, it would go into the information pertaining to what the topic is. So messages sent, who they were sent to, intervention assigned. It gives you all of that information. And so this is another tool for our campus administration to be able to use to be able to communicate with parents. We just wanted to give you an idea of what that platform looks like. And then it will even tier, for you what that looks like. Okay?
So can I ask a question about the chronic absenteeism?
Correct.
So it says see list. So I guess I'm assuming then you hit that list and it'll give you their names. And
Yes,
so then how are we addressing those?
It depends on what it looks like for for the chronic absenteeism. So if it is a child, we pull the kid in, we make sure there's nothing that is happening that we need to be addressing, whether it's medical or something like that. If little Walter is just not coming to school for whatever the reason, then we have an attendance plan. Right? So we sit down with the students, we sit down with the parents, and then we talk to them about what that plan looks like. If it's a high school student, especially when you're getting to this point, it could be seat time, because you're talking about the compulsory attendance and a child getting credit or not getting credit because of their number of absences. If it is an elementary or a middle school student not in algebra or a high school credit class, it is just about them coming to school, and whatever that plan looks like, it is talk through with the campus administration, the student, and then the parent.
The home visits that were conducted, a lot of those are mostly all tier 4 kids.
Yes,
right?
Yeah, I just saw the chronics. I just wondered if that was,
Yes, ma'am. And it also means,
group or if it's,
yeah, it also means that some of those, Doc, we're filing truancy on. And we're very, very fortunate to have a very supportive judge, I believe, over in Lake Worth, and is super supportive of public education. An example, Mr. Server went to truancy court for us on Friday, I think it was. And he comes back and tells the tale of the judge sending a kid to shave his head and then come back to court that day because of attendance. So as Walter Behrens would say, he quit school because of recess, right? He doesn't play. All right, so looking at the tier, there is, again, another example of what that information looks like that we are able to utilize on our campus. All right, let's get to 2.1, I think, Mr. Mogan.
Thank you, Dr. Behringer. Good evening again. Just very quickly, 2.1 for retention and engagement. You see there on your screen the turnover rate for our staff decreased from 30% to 23%. From the beginning of the year, we started with 3 special education positions unfilled as opposed to 21 positions in 2024, so definitely an improvement. As you know, in our hiring season, which we market from January to August, but it's really March to August, we had an improvement of in 2025 of the exit survey when staff resigns of recommending EMS ISD 92%, which is an increase or an improvement of 2%. I will also say that in that exit survey, we're always interested in how many of the staff listed their reason as a lateral move. We're on a 3-year trend of improvement in that area from 2023, where it was 15% listed that as a reason, to 2024 down to 13%, so 15 to 13%, and 2025 down to 11%. So 15 to 13 to 11%. New hires, we had over 800 new hires processed during 2025-26 as compared to, just for note, 600 in 2024-25. Transfers, 700 transfers were processed compared to nearly 800 in 2024-25. Remembering that we were starting Eagle Mountain High School and finished staffing them out. And then this past year, we did a lot of internal transfers for staffing needs. All right, next. And then we had a 4.5 decrease in resignations during this past hiring season, 2025, compared to the 24 hiring season. And then with our teacher attendance incentive pilot, numbers are just coming in, so this is actually updated. We had 531 teachers who will qualify for the perfect attendance for October payout. And we are looking at that October payout at being just under $49. So I think that's a good start for the program as we continue to advertise and improve that. And so that number of 20% increase from 2024, we'll update that. It'll still be in that ballpark of 18 to 20%, but we're updating that as we continue to fine tune those numbers. And then quickly, the stay interviews, we don't conduct those till usually second semester. So our department in HR will identify some areas as we meet with principals for staffing and go out and begin meeting with departments or having them come up to the admin building, whichever is more feasible, and start identifying needs and areas that we can improve upon for those stay interviews. So that update will be coming as we get into second semester. Any questions for me?
The surveys that we got there, how often do we send out a survey?
We can send it out.
Is that just an annual?
It's an annual, but we can do it as frequently as we need to. So, and we can adjust that and add, subtract questions as much as often.
It's a 20% increase from last year.
Just for the perfect attendance, but without the program or the criteria.
Percentage of the overall teachers is that, you know? I mean, like 42 finished. How many do we have?
I'll have to get that number for you. I don't want to give you a false.
I'm just curious. Okay.
Yeah, I can get that to you as we adjust those numbers. Yeah.
Approximate number of teachers.
I mean, I'm just curious, how many do 50% of our teachers show up to work every day for 1 month or not?
Oh, no, it'd probably be less than, I'd say.
What was tell me the number again?
The approximate number of teachers.
No, what was the number?
40.
What?
Yeah, we have
56.
Yes, we have about 1,600 teachers.
About a third.
Yeah.
There you go.
I said 20.
So we have a lot that, before the incentive pilot, that did miss for whatever reason, personal, stay.
Okay, for 1 month. Okay.
Yes, at least 1 day a month.
Wow.
1 day a month.
Okay.
Correct.
Good, though. I mean, that's a.
So it's an improvement. A market
Oh, the improvement's good. Yeah, I'd
Yes.
say the baseline sounds terrible, but yeah, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Wish I had a job like that.
Dr. Curd. All right.
So looking at the recruitment piece, these are things that we don't have in place yet, so I don't have quantitative data to give to you tonight. Hopefully we'll have that down the road, but we're excited to look at 3 different possible ways that we can support the recruitment in our district. We want to be able to host an informational event to support staff who are considering coming into the teaching profession. We want to debunk any myths that there could be about the cost or the time or anything that's associated with getting a teaching certificate in Texas. And so we want to provide them with information. And also that goes along with the online support portal. We're doing a lot of research right now in our committees for 2.2 to be able to understand what is the going rate for some of these initiatives. What are things in place right now that other districts are doing? So we want to be able to put more information out there to our staff members, and not only to our staff, but community members who may be interested in coming on board as a teacher. So we also want to look at expanding signing bonuses. We do this for substitutes. We pay $50 for anybody who's recommended into the district to substitute. So we wanted to model something very similar for any of our staff members who recruit teachers into our district. So we have a committee of HR staff right now and some other outside staff members, and we're getting information together. We're looking at practices. We're looking at how we're going to build these systems from the ground up. So we have some implementation dates that we're proposing for the 26-27 hiring season. So that's our timeline, is to work through the fall into the spring to be able to put these things in place to help support the recruitment of staff members to our district.
Thank you. I'm excited to talk to you just briefly about our professional learning plan and how it's going. We've got such a strong focus this year on the implementation of our new curriculum. I know you hear about that quite a lot, but it's paying off. We're seeing this. When we do the walks, we've had the privilege of being in classrooms for the last several weeks, along with some of our partner providers that I'll mention, and we are seeing evidence of things that our teachers have learned in training or in a coaching session, and they're turning around and able to use it the very next class period. In certain cases, we've had one of our partner coaches there talk to someone on an off period, goes back in the classroom, the principal goes back in the classrooms and sees that change. So our training is paying off. I'm excited to tell you about our induction teacher program. We went through our second round of that just last week. Teachers, our 0 and 1 year teachers, had the opportunity to go visit established classrooms and then visit with teaching and learning staff that were with them on those walks, and they could debrief, and a teacher could say, okay, how did the teacher get the kids to do that. And they could actually talk that through. Our CLC days, we've got 2 of them down, 2 of them to go. And then the 3 C days, as we mentioned, yay for attendance, that's awesome. But we also heard in the FIT committee just last week, we heard one of the principals mention how much the teachers have just appreciated that time. So that was the day that you converted from a half day into a 3C day that focuses on curriculum, campus-based work, could be working with some attendance practices and things like that, and then that time that's uninterrupted and unscheduled for classroom work. And finally, our partner providers, these are the ones that we are paying with a LASSO grant for support. We have Engage to Learn that comes out and does training for our principals and does coaching for principals. We have Great Minds and Carnegie that are really being great supports for us as we implement the math curriculum. And just very happy. We've all talked about it today. What we're hearing from all 3 of those partners, and also Amplify that came out and did some walks, is that our district is ahead of where they anticipated we would be with the implementation. So the training's paying off. So I appreciate your support of that.
That's awesome.
Good evening. The district, excuse me, in parent engagement, we are in the infancy stage of gathering data. And you see the list of all of the committees that we have information on. And what we are finding out is we have 2 different areas. We have committees that we have a set number of parents that are allowed to be on it. And then we have parent meetings that any parent, all parents are invited. So we're looking at the attendance participation rate there from the parents. And we're in the infancy stage of gathering this data. Right now, I have approximately 400 parents out of these committees that have been attending. And our percentage rate, what we're going to look at is like the FIT committee. Last year, we had 100% attendance. And our, not this last one, but the one before, we had 89% attendance. So when you only have 9 members, the data is a little bit different. So we're going to have to look at how many members are there and then calculate our percentages so we know how much growth we're going to have there. Because when parents are limited on committees, we have to look at it very differently. So we will continue to add those different committees, our participation, and all of that information. And our committee is going to get back together to see if we need to add some other things to our information.
And that is that's our update. Again, we're grateful to the board and to all of our administrators around the district adopting this cadence of accountability. We know and understand that sometimes data makes people uncomfortable, but one of the things that we have talked about and we try to ensure that we are all on the same page is the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's all a part of the story and it's all a part of the path. As you all asked questions earlier, whenever we get that data and it's not favorable, it's bad or it's ugly, it just lets us know that we have to focus attention and efforts in that specific direction.
Questions? Comments?
So you, I can't remember, somebody mentioned that last week you had a FIT committee meeting, is that right? So just curiosity, from the first FIT committee meeting, I guess you've had probably 3 now, 3 or 4?
This is our 4th.
The 4th.
This is our 4th since we began.
Okay. I'm wondering how's the attendance, like from that first group, are we getting pretty good attendance? 100% attendance from the original group or close to it, or?
I wouldn't say it's 100%, but I will tell you we had, I would say, in excess of 80 in attendance at the FIT committee this last go round.
Yeah.
Here comes Mr. LeBlanc. He'll be able to tell you the numbers.
Oh, here's the number. Here's the number.
Monsieur LeBlanc.
I don't want to steal any of the thunder from Ms. Nevins, who actually keeps these sign-in sheets, but I've also looked at them myself. There's been some turnover from the members we had in spring to the members we have presently, but I'd say 80% is a rough estimate of those that said they could continue in fall. Now, those who didn't continue in fall, variety of reasons, but primarily it was changes in their schedule or changes in something with either their family or with work that prevented them.
We did add children. We added juniors and senior students, and it's been fantastic.
I think that turnover rate or the increase, that attendance rate staying up is a good indicator that they, Blake and I have served on a couple of committees where we started with a whole bunch of people, facilities planning, and now it's 8 or 9 or 10 people. So I like to hear that they're obviously, coming back. I think that's pretty good indication.
Ron, I think
Yes,
kudos
sir.
to the team. You guys put something in place for as we cycle different employees, that you are different participants out, you have a way to train them for what they missed up to that point, so they can come in and replace on those teams and be productive right away.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Berenger. Okay, we will continue on with our Education Services Report with Mrs. Sanders, District and Campus Improvement Plan updates.
Good evening, President Tolbert, Dr. Hollingsworth, and board members. I am very pleased to share with you information about our campus and district improvement plans this evening. It will be pretty quick because you've heard all of the data that we use to measure our progress on our improvement plans. And that is a good thing because that means we are aligned and all of our arrows are pointing in that same direction so that we can move forward and make progress as a district. You have been provided with a flash drive that has all of the campus improvement plans and the district improvement plan, but also those are available on our website, or they will be tomorrow after I present to the board. And then I also forwarded an electronic link, a folder with all of those in them as well, to Kim. So if you would like to get that from her, she can share that also. So as we talked about just a moment ago, alignment is really the name of the game with our district and campus improvement plans. We do, every campus and the district as a whole does a comprehensive needs assessment at the beginning of each year. Typically we do this this year we did this in June. Sometimes we do it in July, but we bumped that back so that we could start that work earlier. You'll notice that in the improvement plans, those components are aligned to the components of the balanced scorecard. So our goals are aligned to the district priorities. Our performance objectives are aligned to the strategic objectives, and our strategies are aligned to key actions. And then our campuses and departments have done what we call a cascade, where we've taken the balanced scorecard and we have each department or campus has evaluated those pieces in alignment to what's happening and specifically to the needs of that campus or department. In our needs assessment, we did identify some key areas of needed improvement. One in particular is the curriculum implementation, and specifically the fidelity and rigor of our curriculum. So fidelity of implementation, that we're sticking to the curriculum that's been provided, and we are delivering that in a very specific and research-based manner. And the rigor, that we're teaching to the level that our kids need in order to be successful. Secondary progress monitoring came up as an area of gap, and just the consistency. And I almost called her Dr. Miss Alloway. She is working really hard with the secondary principals and the curriculum coordinators to align the assessments and the progress monitoring. And as Dr. Berenger mentioned earlier, she has a tool that she's brought in to evaluate those assessments and ensure that we have rigor and alignment with those pieces. Our student groups, including special programs, are a focus for us always. Each campus has their 2 lowest performing student groups that they monitor every year. We get that information from TEA, and we monitor them very closely. And then special programs is always very important to watch for us and make sure that all of our students are learning and making progress. And then our comprehensive and targeted campuses. In the last 2 meetings, you've heard quite a bit about those campuses and the plans that we have put into place to support them. In order to support all campuses, we have several strategies that we've identified. You've heard maybe a little bit about implementation of 2 new curriculums this year, and that is one of our largest and most focused strategies. Cindy Tucker just talked about the LASSO grants that we have and how those are being implemented to support that implementation and the leadership of the implementation of those curriculums. We have observation, feedback, coaching cycles going on, lots of support with internalization, data-driven instruction, looking at data to make those in-the-moment decisions on how teachers are going to respond to the needs of their classroom, effective schools framework diagnostics to help us know where there might be very specific gaps in each campus and what their needs are so that we can support those. quarterly data meetings for our secondary and elementary campuses, and implementation walks. In our district improvement plan, we do have our board goals. Those are for early childhood literacy, early childhood math, and CCMR. And so by the end of third grade in STAR reading, we would like to see an increase from 50 to 60% by the end of this school year. In third grade math in STAR, from 43% to 50% by the end of this school year. And then in CCMR, we would like to be at or above 82% as measured by our EOY CCMR submission data. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions?
We used to have the principals give these themselves, I was telling you earlier.
I know,
but we would be here for 2 days with all of our
We're
campus.
then too.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, that concludes our education services report. And then we have our final report for the superintendent's reports. Mr. Welch, update on CFB local, sorry.
Great, thank you. President Tolbert, Dr. Hollingsworth, members of the board. We do have one report in the world of finance for you tonight. We bring forth a proposed update to policy CFB local regarding the capitalization of assets. This is a policy update separate of the TASB policy update since it's not a part of state legislation. It's driven initially by an increase in the federal grant threshold to determine eligibility of acquiring assets, moving that from the $5,000 level to the $10,000 level. TEA has provided guidance to also increase the capitalization of asset levels for all fund sources, not just the federal, so that everything across the board will be at the level of moving it from $5,000 to that new $10,000 level. The change in amount as provided in the proposed CFB local in your board book is more about which assets are depreciated on the full accrual government-wide financial statements at audit time. It will not have a significant change to the budgeting and accounting processes for users in the district. TEA is requesting this change to local policies in advance of their planned updates to the TEA Financial Accountability System Resource Guide next April. The policy update will come back next month as a consent item for approval. I'd be glad to answer any questions you may have.
Questions, comments? Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Welch.
you.
We appreciate it. Okay, that concludes our reports, and now we'll go into action items. So the first action item is Mr. Clete Welch and Mr. Mogan on approving the staffing plan amendment.
Good evening, President Tolbert, Dr. Hollingsworth, members of the board. Based on the presentation you heard earlier this evening during reports from Mr. Jones, there is a proposal for a staffing plan amendment for 2 positions tonight. Page 98 of your packet has 2 FTEs, one for the Director of Transportation and one for the Administrative Assistant to support that position. That would, if approved, begin somewhere around January 5th, that week, to finish out the 25-26 school year. You have those estimated salary numbers, and then the estimated salary for the 26-27 school year, depending on the person that is hired with the experience level. And I'll take any questions that you have.
Questions or comments?
I guess I'll ask a question. That's the numbers here, you benchmarked them when you were doing the benchmarking of the.
Correct.
So that's in line with what the market would.
Yes, ma'am. And he also gives a range, which gives us some flexibility on who's brought in for the position.
I move that we approve the staffing plan amendment as previously presented.
Motion by Ron, second by William. Any other questions and or comments? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries 6-1.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mogan. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Lee, once again, designate a method of procurement for elementary 19.
All right. President Tolbert, members of the board, Dr. Hollingsworth. Texas Government Code 2269.056A specifies that a governing body of a governmental entity that considers a construction contract using a method authorized by this chapter other than competitive bidding must, before advertising, determine which method provides the best value for the government entity. The recommendation is to designate competitive field proposal as the method that provides the best value for elementary number 19.
One question, just because we're not under any type of schedule to get it done. I mean, just that's a longer process. I was just wondering that. We're not in any certain schedule crunch, right? Like if you do it through CMGC or something else.
Well, we're in a crunch because this project is supposed to start in the spring. But as far as any schedule advantages between the two methods, CMAR doesn't provide us any advantages as to when we could start, for example, an early grading package or procurement of materials. Because right now we are dependent on the developer getting us the utilities to that site, so there's no advantage to it. And one of the reasons why CSP also worked for this one, you know, one of the things we talked about last week for Saginaw High School had to do with collaboration. This is a prototype building. This building is going to look exactly like Hatley Elementary. And so we feel confident just being 4 years out that our budget is where it needs to be. So that contractor's expertise we don't think is necessary in this instance. And also building it once, we have a refined set of plans. You know, through the construction process, we've identified hopefully all of the issues that the building could have, and so we're going to have a clean set of construction documents to bid on.
So do we have prototypes going forward for elementary school and middle schools? Perfect.
Yes.
Okay. Nope. No questions here.
Any other questions or comments?
I move we designate the competitive seal proposal as the method that provides the best value for elementary 19.
Second. Motion by Steve, second by Paige. Any other questions or discussion? All in favor? Anybody opposed? Motion carries 7-0. That concludes our action items for this evening. So thank you all very much. It's probably a record, only 2 action items. We have a series of routine reports. Were there any questions about any of those? Okay.
When is Red Ribbon?
That's what I was, yeah, there was tons of information.
A whole bunch of information. I didn't know when it is.
It's like the last week of October or
Last
something.
week in October, isn't it?
It's usually when it is, yeah.
Okay, so this is a report of what we did.
Yes, what we
Okay,
did.
got it.
Yeah, it's usually the last weekend.
It was
the last
entertaining.
week.
That was an
The
entertaining
last week of
report.
October.
Yeah, there was a lot of fun stuff.
A lot there.
Being a former elementary teacher, I could pull that out of my hat pretty quickly, because I remember that.
Wayside was incredibly detailed with theirs.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so next is the board planning calendar, Dr. Hollingsworth.
Yes, ma'am. Dr. Tolbert, members of the board, as we look ahead at our December board meeting, there will be, it will get here quickly because that will be on December 15th. We'll have an update on our transportation department. We will review a history of the relationship of our property tax values to outstanding bonds. We will begin to unpack publicly Update 126. This is the largest legislative update that TASB has ever produced. We'll also look at our 26-27 calendar proposal. So we'll all look forward to that. Action items, we will consider approving a middle school zoning shift. You know, we talked about that at our October meeting, and so we'll bring some options to the board with a recommendation. We'll potentially act on election of members to the board of directors of the Tarrant Appraisal District. So those are kind of the big things coming up in December.
Will we have any update on the YMCA action? Would that
Yes,
be in
sir.
December? Or
I'm hopeful. We have been, I know that Mr. Welch, Cleet, has been in regular communication with our friends at the Y, And that's been I've asked this question a few times. Clete, anything you would add in terms of where we are?
We're still trying to get it to the December board meeting, but we're still going back with the lease agreement and what we have to have in it because of our bond money.
Okay.
So we're all working through that.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. You have a variety of consent agendas for approval. Any questions about any of those?
I move we approve the consent agenda as submitted.
Second. Motion by Steve, second by Paige. All in favor? Anybody opposed? Motion carries 7-0. So I have several things, just quickly. First of all, congratulations to our athletics. The EMS girls volleyball, they are, good job. They are there for the state championship, and so we are wishing them a lot of positivity and energy. Congratulations to Chisholm and Saginaw. They were in the playoffs and did a great job, and nothing to be ashamed of. So they did great. And EMS is in the area game for the EMS high school is going to be there Friday night as well. So we got competing things going on, but that's awesome. And I was trying to frantically look earlier today, but I know that all the bands have done some amazing things this year. Ms. Hardy could probably tell us exactly, but I know that every time I looked at something on Facebook, they'd scored this or they'd been awarded that. So doing great with athletics, and our athletics and fine arts are just shining. So kudos to all of them.
Dr. Tolbert, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Shoot me down if I'm wrong about
Choir
this.
probably too. I just don't know about
I
it.
read something today that Eagle Mountain High School volleyball team is the first volleyball team in the city of Fort Worth that has made it to the state championship.
Come on.
Well, I know they were on WFAA this morning. He
Oh,
was
yeah?
talking all about it. Yes, he was talking all about them. So that was pretty exciting. When I was having my coffee and watching Good Morning America.
I don't want to spread
Anyway.
rumors, but that's what I thought I read.
That's awesome. Also, as Mrs. Sanders said, you have a flash drive at your place that has all the campus improvement plans for your reading pleasure. We also have the Women of Influence banquet luncheon on December 6th that you may or may not be interested in, but it would be a great thing to do. We're honoring several of our local community members. Thank you to the notes that the librarian sent all of us. Really appreciate it. It was very, very nice, and we appreciate that. And also at your place, you have some dates that you could be available for a pre-tour of Wayside the last week before Christmas, right? So if you'll mark the times you are available, and then he'll try to arrange that. That would be great. And then, Friday is, then you'll have a week off. Everybody will have a week off, and it'll be Thanksgiving. And so just want to make sure that everyone knows that we are thankful for all of you that are listening, all of you that are here, and thankful for this board and for our superintendent for his direction. So thank you all for all that you do. I think we are a very blessed and grateful district. So that concludes my announcements. And then now you have your announcements.
Yes, ma'am. As I do each month, these are your November remarks regarding leadership and learning in Eagle Mountain Saginaw ISD. You can see with our monthly enrollment in ADA, we did take a hit as October progressed. We finished the month with 24,265 students in enrollment, and then our attendance percentage was at 94.29. You heard Dr. Behringer make reference to the second 6 weeks totals that were last year's second 6 weeks was 93.85. We improved that by 1.12 to 94.97 in the second 6 weeks. The first 6 weeks, just by comparison, we were up half a percentage point, 0.56. We rose from 95.12 in the first 6 weeks of last year, up to 95.68. Those don't sound like big percentages, but with 24,200 children, that is a lot of kids coming to school who were not. So really, really proud of all of the efforts. As I've told you before, if we can hold 1% increase over the course of the year, that improves our M&O budget by $2.5 million. And I'll also tell you, it improves everything because kids are here because they can learn, and that's a really, really big deal. So very proud of the efforts of our folks.
Can I make another comment about that? Because I've heard, those are two significant things. I think we talked about the safety of our kids too, and you can hear things about, wanting to get kids there just for money or whatever. We got a lot of people who really care about our kids.
100%.
We get kids that come in and get fed. They get nutrition at our schools, and they're safe, and they're cared for, and they're being taught. And that is I know that's a part of the heart of that. I know that those are the finance deals, that's a side benefit, but I know everybody in this room up here believes that those kids, there's a lot of kids that are safe and maybe safer and more well-fed
when they're here.
100%. So
100%.
Note that as well. Yes, sir.
Y'all know I participate in a group called the Future Ready Superintendent's Leadership Network. It's a mouthful. They call it Friesland. We had our kickoff event in Wichita Falls, and you'll see that Mr. LeBlanc and Dr. Fahey and Mrs. Alloway joined me at that event. So really a neat learning experience. It really was about how it is that Wichita Falls ISD has really worked with community partnerships to improve the situation in that school district. And so it was a really powerful learning experience for all of us. I also, I'm missing one, I think, where that is. I participated in a group called the Workforce to Education Coalition of Texas. There it is, Collaborative of Texas. And this is working with business to really improve the pipeline from K-12 education to work. And the thing that I'm always amazed by is when you talk to business leaders, talk to community leaders about what we do with our career and technical education programs, most people are shocked. They just have no idea that we have so many programs that are geared toward getting kids ready for the world of work. And that's exactly what this collaborative is focused in on, is improving that pipeline. Upcoming events, we do have Thanksgiving break coming up next week. We'll have on December 1, we'll have a deep dive into our balanced scorecard. That'll be our first workshop where we work with the leadership team and with the board to really go in even a little deeper into our data. So looking forward to that. We have our holiday open house here at the Dr. Jim F. Chadwell Administration Building on December 10th. We have our regular board meeting on December 15th. It's early release day on December 19th, and I don't know if they know out and about in the community, but we'll have 2 weeks off at Christmas. And so tell your friends and neighbors, they may not be aware of that piece. And so.
But the teachers are.
The teachers may be aware.
And the students are probably aware. Okay.
Madam President, seeing there's no further business to come before this board, I move we adjourn.
Motion by Steve, second by Paige. All in favor? Motion carries 7-0. Meeting is adjourned at 8:29 p.m.
There you go.